if I were you, if I were going to start over and do something like out, if it wasn't just you, it would be maybe you start, start a business with a friend, or you come on, or you join like a really small company or a startup and like, get in a position where you can be more a part of the day-to-day business without
Yeah.
having the ultimate responsibility. So I think that that's great. I think that it's really healthy for people to join a small business and to learn what it takes to run a small business. I mean, like Rachel on my team, I mean, she knows like pretty much everything about everything at this point, because she's so involved. We're so small that she sees all the working components and what you need for QuickBooks and what you need for this social media thing and what it takes to do this ad and what it takes to write this copy and where to go. Like like Shelly's been here for well over a year or two. I don't remember what it is now. I'm losing track. But she understands like essentially how to run the whole business. So a year ago, could Shelly have done what I do? No, not at all.
Hmm.
But she's now been around enough where she understands like the big picture of what it takes. And if she needed to, she could get a little bit more of that expertise and she probably could run it and probably duplicate something similar within a year or two if she wanted to. So,
Hmm.
not that she ever would, but I'm just saying it's not a bad idea to just acknowledge like, hey, like for instance, I'll just be honest, Alex, the guys with your personality type who do that I know do start to do really well in business, they've partnered with somebody who's a higher D,
Yeah.
typically speaking. And it's just because it's good to have that yin and yang kind of thing where you got somebody who's a little bit more of that driver, maybe that outgoing kind of whatever. Not that you can't be that. Again, anybody can adapt. I can go super 99D. I can go super low D and less aggressive and a little more passive if I need to so that I don't railroad people and I can be
Mhm.
calm and I can talk a little bit slower. And, so like anybody can be any of those personality traits, but I think it's important to find people that complement you. And Alex, like again, there are very successful people that are higher SEs, maybe lower Ds, and that do run their own business. But to be honest with you, I don't know a lot of them that have scaled it up in a big way
Right.
without
I get what
without
you're
having a partner or a coach or somebody, a mentor, somebody that's really there pushing you along, because your natural default is to kind of play it small
saying.
sometimes. So, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just your God-given gift, right? Because you're really hypersensitive to risk and things that could go wrong. And so like you're going to be much more cautious. You'll be more slow. Honestly, you probably won't go out of business as quickly as a lot of these D's do. There's a lot of people that, I know a lot of high D's that are like they went out there and they busted it and they won all the awards and they're the Inc. 5000 fastest growing whatever, and they roll and ship, and then within years they're out of business, right? Or their
Mhm.
business has gone bankrupt or whatever. They lost all their money. But I have a friend who's a high SC guy, and he's just like, you know, just inching up, and he just keeps on going, and he's doing great, and he's slow and steady, and you wouldn't know talking to him or looking at him that I have a couple friends like that. They're high SCs, and they're just slowly inching up, and they're multimillionaires, and they're doing great. And they're not. Are they gonna like? Do they have like 15 locations or international whatever? No, no, not right now. But they're not hurting for money. But they also are the kinds of guys where, like my one friend, it's like it's his coach who's like, "Hey man, let's get a second location. Come on now, let's get it going. Let's stop, hop
Yeah.
two." And he's the one who's kind of like, get outside of your comfort zone. Don't settle, keep going. That's why it's important to have people like that in your life and have that ongoing coaching, because otherwise you'll naturally just coast, you know.
Yeah.
So
I feel. Yeah, that was thank you. That's helpful. And that was sort of my idea, is to partner with someone and I just pulled my score, and I am a high S, C, I, and D is like really, really low. Um,
yeah,
but yeah.
but mhm.
Mm.
Which can also be because I know you're like trying to work on your marriage, right? And so like where do you think your wife is at in terms
Her
of her
personality.
disc?
Oh, she's a high D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where it can be really, this is it's unique, right? So If your political's low, your D is low, Alex, like it's you have to work so much harder to be seen as a leader in your home. It's not as natural. Like, cause you're like, I don't really need to be in charge. I don't need to tell everyone what to do. I don't need to be the
Mhm.
boss kind of a thing. But a high D woman wants that, right?
Yeah.
She wants you to exert authority. She wants assert authority. She wants you to say, no, sit down, shut up, go give me the keys. I'm driving tonight. That kind of a thing. No, here's where we're going out to eat. So like it's very much it's it's weird, And then what can also be really weird is if a high D personality, like if she married you and you were kind of like some high D women might like it, the fact that like they get to have control, right? And they get to do that, even though deep down they kind of like every woman wants to be led, even if they're high D or not. But then when you do start to have more confidence and you start to take more ownership and take authority, in a servant way, but like not afraid to speak your mind and say how it
Mhm.
is, and
Mhm.
express your feelings and whatever. That can be very unsettling, in the equilibrium of the home because it's like, well, wait a second, like I was the boss, and you're like, it can be weird. So, but it is really helpful. It's super helpful to study this stuff because in order for her to respect you, you're going to have to be assertive.
Yep.
You're going to have to tell it like it is. You're going to have to take charge, and it's not going to necessarily come natural. And there's people that would look at your kind of personality type, and your personality type doesn't fit that stereotypical macho man, of like in society of the Western culture, but you're just as masculine, but you're just masculine in a
Mhm.
different way. You're masculine in a soft-spoken way. You're masculine in a considerate way, in a servant-hearted way. Like a high S is a very servant-hearted person. You're very tender.
Mhm.
You're very loyal. But you're not the guy who's like everywhere he goes is throwing his weight around in a conversation, and is like screaming and yelling from the top from front of the stage, kind of a thing. Now, it doesn't mean you can't be a good public speaker. Doesn't mean that you can't be seen as a leader. Doesn't mean that you can't carry an incredible amount of presence wherever you go, but it's something that you have to work 10 times harder than some other people that are high Ds. You have to like intentionally put an effort and it's going to exhaust you. Like you're going to get like if you 15 minutes of having to be a high D, it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm drained for the rest of the day. Like that was a lot.
Mhm.
But you can get there, So it's just a practice of like, and I tell this to my high SCs and my team all the time. I want you to practice interrupting me. I want you to practice saying, "Hold on, can I interrupt real quick?" Or "Hey, time out a second," or just interrupt me for the sake of interrupting me, even if it makes no sense. Like Alex, start talking. So tell me about your day. What'd you love today?
Yeah, so I got to work on time today, and then
Oh, you got to work on time?
meeting with my manager.
Who did you
Yes,
meet with? Who'd you meet with?
my manager and one of the professors.
What's their name? What's their name? What was your manager's name? You see how I'm interrupting you, but it still makes sense how I'm interrupting, not just randomly interrupting you, but I also want
Mhm.
you to practice I'm about to do to you again. So keep talking.
Yeah, so we had a really good meeting, and
Hey,
we
Alex, hold on
have
one second. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. My son's right here. What do you need? You good? Okay. I'm sorry about that. Keep going.
yeah, so we had a really good meeting. I have good next steps for some deadlines I have to get
Hey,
into,
Alex, hold on one
and
second. I'm sorry. Can you go back to what you just said? Because that was really important. I don't want to miss that.
I get the drift.
Right. And I know you get it, but I want you to practice it. Right. So this is where, because it's really, you have to break off the fear of man.
hmm
One of the best ways to break off the fear of man is again, you have to ultimately fear God. Right. That's the best way. But practically speaking, you need to start doing things that tell yourself I'm not afraid of men. So that would mean you interrupt people like me, knowing that again, for my personality type with your wife, if she's a D, it doesn't bother her. Now, if I kept doing that to you in a conversation and I didn't know you and you didn't know that we were playing a game, if I was really abrasive, you would be absolutely checked out. Like, I want nothing to do with this guy. This guy is a bully. This guy is annoying. This guy is he's not respectful. He doesn't listen well. I don't want to talk to this guy. Right. But again,
Mhm.
to a high D, how do you think they interpret your quietness and just nodding your head the whole time?
That's passive,
Passive. What else do you think they perceive
not
it as?
interested.
Not interested. What else do you think they think?
Um, is he really listening?
Yep.
Um, not sure if he cares.
These kind of sound like you've heard these things before, right?
Well, I'm listening to Surrounded by Idiots, so I'm
Perfect.
starting
Yes.
to see
Okay.
myself. Yeah,
Great. So good for you, man. Kudos for doing that. I love that you're doing that. But yeah, that's a great example, right? So your wife, again, you think you're being this sweethearted, tender, oh, I'm so here for you, baby.
right.
But
Not
that's
interrupting.
yep, yep. But she's not, but she's thinking because you're not saying anything. It's like, is he lost in space? Is he on Mars? Is he thinking about the football game? Is he thinking about other women? Is he thinking, is he even interested in?
Mhm.
So you have to practice, like, again, being a little bit more engaged, use your hands a little bit, right? Kind of do that. Like, and again, I'm talking, I just like, uh-huh, like use your voice, acknowledge that you're saying that. That's good. Interrupt me. Kind of like you go, you're black. So I'm assuming you've been to black church, right? It's different than most white churches, right? There's call and response, right? There's more engagement. There tends to be that, right? So like what I'm saying
Yeah,
is like, give me some call and response. If you're talking to a DI, yeah, that's good. Oh man, that's great, bro.
gotcha.
That's great. I got you. Yep, yep. All right. Hey, that's so good. Hey, hold on a second. Go back to what you just said. That was so good. Can you say that one more time? Hey, hold on. Let
Yeah,
me interrupt you real quick, Alex. Man, I gotta just stop you right there. You are such an incredible man of God. I love hearing you speak. It just, man, it just touches me every time you talk. So I hate to interrupt, man, but I just got to say it. You're so good. Anyways, keep going. I want you to like,
yeah.
so I'm gonna talk. I want you to do it to me because I'm telling you, this will make your wife. She'll be like, who is this guy? You know,
Yeah.
whoa. Because if you don't do this to Heidi's again, are they going to respect you or not? Yes or no?
No,
Why?
because they not engaged with them, so they're not interested, I
Yep,
guess.
they think that you're kind of uninteresting and boring. But again, like, why will they not respect you if you don't ever interrupt them, if you don't stop them, if you don't speak over them sometimes, if you don't engage with them, if you don't tell them what to do? What are they going to think about you? How will they perceive you as?
Not relatable,
Not relatable? Yeah, true,
unengaged,
true.
engaged,
Going for
not
something else though.
interesting,
In terms of a fighter, how will they perceive you as?
or weak.
You'll perceive you as weak. And so will they respect you or will they take advantage of you?
Probably try to take advantage of me.
Not probably they will. Okay. Most of them
Yeah.
will. Even if they're believers. I'm just being honest. They'll perceive you as a wink link and they'll see you as a sucker.
Hmm.
Okay. Because they're gonna think this guy's a pushover. What just hold on. They're like, watch this, watch what I'm about to do with this guy. I'm totally gonna rip this guy off. Hold on a second. Right. So they not now again, they might not say that, but they perceive the high SEs as the suckers in the room. Right.
Yeah.
So now you're very smart. You're not a sucker. But what I'm saying is that's how they're going to see you. They're not going to respect for you. So by being assertive, how do you think that gains respect? By speaking up.
How does it, by speaking up, how does it gain respect?
Yeah. Why do you
Yeah,
think,
I guess I'm showing or revealing I guess the boundaries or what I'm
yeah.
interested in or not interested in or
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think
Does
it tells them about you? What do you think it tells them about you when you're
that I'm
willing
sure
to
about
speak your
myself?
mind? Yep. Yep. That you're confident. Yep. What else?
Um, that I'm taking up space or I'm not a pushover.
Bingo. Yep. That you can handle yourself, right? So it's think of it like, have you ever seen two dogs in a fight or like ever seen like the
Mhm.
Balto or something, that movie, where like you got the head, the pack dog, the pack leader, right? Who's in the very
Yeah.
front leading. It's like there's the one movie, I can't remember which one it was, and I'm really hoping that you'll interrupt me while I'm telling the story. But there's one movie, I'm trying to remember what it was, but
Animated movie?
yep.
Or-
No, it wasn't animated. It was like a Disney kind of one. But anyways, it was like Balto or one of those ones, but he wasn't the lead
Not
dog,
sure.
but there was the lead dog, and at one point, like he challenges the dog kind of a thing to a fight.
Hmm.
And the lead dog ends up getting like Balto, whatever the dog is, like gets
Was
it,
it like
grabs it. Yep, he grabs it by
the movie's like narrated by people, but the dogs are in it? It's like
yeah,
Kevin
something
Hart and
like that. I
everyone?
don't remember what it was, but it was like, the dog takes it by the neck and like throws it down and basically stands over it from a place of dominion. And the dog that was the pack leader goes from being all puffed up to kind of whimpering and going to the back, right?
Yeah.
It's literally like this. It is a oh, it is a like Animal Kingdom. It's
Mm-hmm.
literally what you're doing. It's like you are showing I'm not a pushover. I can
I'm gonna
handle
hold my
myself.
space.
Yep,
Yeah.
I can hold my space. I can protect my family. This is my kingdom. This is my arena. Don't mess with me, kind of a thing.
Hmm.
And yeah, and even when you look at Jesus, right? Like people are like, how I mean, he shows up with authority and power, right?
Yeah.
You think about,
Yeah.
I was even thinking about, he's on Peter's boat, right, giving a sermon. If you were talking like this the whole time and no one could barely hear you, could you deliver a sermon from a boat?
Not at all. No.
Not at all, right? So
Mhm.
Jesus took up space, right? Jesus showed up with authority. Jesus, he was also a servant, right? He was also tender. He was compassionate. He was all of those things. But
Mhm.
so yeah, I just would encourage you, like, you're doing a good job, like kind of like in showing me that you're engaging. But again, I want you to practice, like, hey, let me interrupt. Hey, Jeremy, time out a second. Hold on 1 second. I want to say something that was really good. And it could be just to affirm me. It could be literally like, hey, time out real quick. Hey, that was really good what you just said. I really appreciate it. Anyways, keep going. But it could also be, hold on a
Mhm.
second, Jeremy, can you go back to what I asked earlier? Because I still want to know about that thing. We haven't touched on it yet. So can you still answer that question? I think did I tell you the story with Mark, Alex, my mentor, the one guy who I
Um, You
who
have
so
not told
he
this.
he was so basically because I was terrified to do this too, right? Just keep this in
Okay.
mind. You're talking to someone who's a recovered fear of manner, people pleaser, right? But this was like 3 or 4 years ago. So this isn't even that long
Mhm.
ago. I was on a call, a training call with Mark, my coach, and he was talking to another teammate, or sorry, another friend of mine, and
Yeah.
she's like a high IC, kind of that. So she kind of like has this extroverted part, but then there's like goes super fearful, introverted kind of a thing, fearful. So he's like,
Now,
Lydia,
what is your what is Mark's? I
Mark is
guess.
a 99 DI, nuclear.
Okay.
This guy is
Gotcha.
like Tony Robbins or any of these kind of guys, but really intense, really just aggressive personality, right? Donald Trump. I mean, think like that, right? So this is like him. So Mark he's talking to Lydia and he's like, Lydia, I want you to practice interrupting me because she was not doing well on sales on the phone. And he's like, you've got to
Mhm.
get more assertive. You've got to be willing to take charge of the conversation. And so he's like, practice, but she wasn't doing it. She wouldn't
Yeah.
do it. And so I'm like, well, he told her she could do it. So I asked Mark a question, and Mark's tendency, which can be mine too, was to kind of start rambling as a high I and just going off on a tangent. And he just starts answering a question that had nothing to do with what I was trying to get. And he's like a minute or two into this thing, and the whole time I'm thinking, oh, I want to interrupt him, but I don't want to get upset. Oh man, I want to interrupt him. I don't
Mhm.
want him to get upset. Oh man, I want to interrupt him. And I'm just thinking like, and I'm kind of waiting for the right moment, and he's not stopping. Right, he doesn't even come up for air. So I'm like, I'm waiting for him to pause and then like, maybe this will be no, it's like, nope, he just kept on going. And so I literally practiced because this is what he told me to do. Time out. Time out. Hey Mark,
Mhm.
time out. So I just went for it, man. And it was terrifying. It scared like literally I did it and I was like, hey Mark, time out a second. Hold on. And here's what happened. He went from talking, he's like, what? What? And he was like not even phased. Now I sat there
Mhm.
and I was just like in this moment of shock, like, oh my gosh, it worked. And
Yeah.
and I didn't know what to do. I was like, and then he started to get agitated because I interrupted him now
Mhm.
for no apparent reason, apparently, and obviously. So now I was like wasting his time. That kind of bugged him. And then I was like, yeah, sorry, that wasn't where I was trying to ask. I was really want to know more about this. And so he's like, okay, yeah, okay, well, what? And then he just went on that, and then we finished. But Alex, I kid you not, for the rest of, I can't tell you how many times he would bring up that story to other people because it
Mhm.
just made his day. He loved it. From that point on, his respect for me completely changed
You
because
did
he's
that.
like, yeah, because he's like, oh wow, he's not a pushover. He's got some guts. And so it changed everything for me, being able to do that. So what I'm saying is like he was a safe person to practice on, and even he kind of got agitated. I'm never going to get agitated at you. I actually like it. Like Melissa on my team, uh, over on our Kingdom Debt Solutions, she's our sales manager over there. Melissa's not like a super high D. She's technically even an SC if you look at her disc. So I've done the same thing for her and had her practice this, and she'll be like, "Nope, hold on, no, we ain't doing that." We are not going there. She's like, hold on a second. You're gonna have to hold that, Jeremy, because I'm not done yet. All right, next thing. And she'll
Hmm.
just do that, and I'll interrupt her. I'll be like, Melissa, hold on a second. I don't think she's like, hold on, Jeremy, hold on. I need to let me finish this, and then we'll get to that. No, hold on. And then it does not. I am like, I love it. You have no idea because how much I take joy in it because it shows me that she's listening and she's paying attention. And it also helps me. I gain respect for her. I do. I have more respect for her because I'm like, wow, she can lead. She can take charge because you
Yeah.
can't be a manager and not be able to take charge of people, interrupt, cut them off, take authority when you need to. Say that's, hold on, that's I need you to put your hand down for a second. We're almost done with the presentation. That you need somebody that can do that with grace, but also take leadership. So that's what I'm saying, brother. I want you to practice. Hold on, time out a second. Time out, Jeremy. Like just say it. Like right now, I'm going to keep talking, and I just want you
Hmm.
to say time out. Use your hands to say time out, and I want you to speak up with a little bit more. Say time out, Jeremy. Hold on. Let me ask you something, and then just ask me whatever you want. Okay. So I'm going to keep on talking. So Alex, I'm looking here your D's and I'm about 49 or so, about 20. Okay, 20 about a little I. You got a
Hey,
SC.
Jeremy, time
Yep.
out.
Okay.
I have a question. Did you tell Melissa to do that because you were training her, or you want for I guess the benefit of the clients or for herself?
Both. That's a really great question. So, and I want you to do it again this time, but use a different phrase. Say, hold on a second. Let me this time say, let me interrupt, and then just interrupt and interject again. Do the same thing. That's a really good question, Alex. So I actually was training her because I wanted her to do that because she's going to be leading a team.
One second, Jeremy. You said her high was a C. What was her second or secondary, I guess?
I think it was well actually so her first was an S, second
S.
highest was a C, and then the next one. So anyway, so yeah, so I'm working with her, I'm training her, and she's working with our team, and I really see her growing as a leader. And I just like to ramble, I like to talk, and because I like to hear the sound of my own voice. And so I mean I
Hmm.
could talk for about 50 seconds, a minute, maybe even 2 minutes. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking
I
about going on
was
vacation next year. Yeah, I'm really
one
not sure.
second,
Yeah,
Jeremy.
but
How many people is she leading? Or
she's leading about, I don't know, about
or was
eight,
how
nine,
much?
it's 7, 8, 9, 10 people. Yeah, she's leading a good amount of people. So yeah,
Okay,
she's
that's a
doing a
lot.
really good job though. She's doing a really good job though. So I really appreciate what she's doing. She's showing up. She's doing great, and she's really impressed me. And she's doing it. So and keep doing it. Keep practicing. Okay. So she's doing great. We're walking down the park. We're going seeing chimpanzees at the zoo. We're talking at the zoo. We like the zoo. She likes zebras. I like elephants. Don't take too long to interrupt me
One
again.
second, Jeremy. What time out? What is she lead? What department or section
Now
is
I
she
want
leading?
you to do it again, but I want you to do it with a little bit more presence. So I want you to like sit up straight. Okay, sit up straight. Take like have a demeanor of you are the alpha male in the room. Okay, so I want you to think like a silver. Have you ever seen a silverback gorilla?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see like it carries presence, right? So I want you to like don't be hesitant when you say it. Really, don't be afraid to even raise your voice. Alex, you raising your voice is like normal, to a D, to a D, right? So like you being you thinking you're too abrasive is like somewhere in the middle, right? If your C and your S are way up here, your D is down here.
Hmm.
What you think is, oh my gosh, I was the biggest jerk I've ever seen in my life. You're like somewhere in the middle, right? So
Yeah.
just remember when you're talking to, I know you're laughing, but it's true. When you're talking to guys
Yeah.
like me, it really doesn't bother me. I enjoy it. This is what makes a conversation interesting. I think it's boring. If you kept talking to me like you were 15 minutes ago, I would get uninterested and I would immediately go to the next person because I'm like, this guy is super boring to talk to. So I
Hmm.
want you to make noises. I want you to talk. I want you to interrupt. Like if you see an Italian family talk, they're doing this, and they're going like it's just this back and forth. They're constantly interrupting each other. I know for you, that's not how
Yeah.
you like to converse, but that's how they like to converse. And it's literally like, well, I like to speak Spanish. It's like, I know you do, but they are Japanese. You need
Hmm.
to talk to them in Japanese. It doesn't matter about what you want. What do they want? So I'm going to keep on talking. And again, I just want, but have a little bit
Yeah.
of,
I have a question.
yeah, okay, there you
Like,
go.
how do you identify? I guess you read this up. How do you identify like the when you interact with people? Like
You
how?
just honestly, you just study, man. So like, what you're already doing. You're reading Surrounded by Idiots, study disc, practice this stuff, but you'll just learn, right? Somebody that's a little more vocal, they're a little more
Yeah.
direct, they're a little bit more. You're like, okay, this probably is on the kind of maybe on the DI spectrum, someone that's a little bit more soft spoken,
Yeah.
slow speaking, maybe not as communicative with their body language. They might be more of an SE type personality. They're, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's certain words that they're going to use. If you watch the disc training that we do, I have a whole
Hmm.
2 hour disc training. I talk about like keywords that C's are going to use, S's. They all use the same words, right? So if you're like a high C, you're like, I like calculated, I like detail, I like the words accurate. I like time tested, I like proven. I like those are
Hmm.
all key words that high C's will use. To me, it's amazing, man. It's God given. It's a design. It's like it's the way that he just designed brains. And it's like I find it fascinating that all people with that are all going to use the same language. The S's are going to
Yeah.
like systems and sustainable and proven and all this, there's like a certain keywords that they're going to use um to
And
perform that.
I have a question, like, so that does that change over time, or is it like just a? So I
I've
know
seen
I'm
it change.
a high S.
I've seen it change a little bit, but in terms of honestly, not really, man. A highest C is a highest C,
No,
but
I mean,
yeah,
like in yourself and like learning the disc and how to show up and I guess interact with each personality. Have you seen your? I mean, you know how to adjust, but do you have a tendency to be at like a D now, like more of a D than?
it depends on my circumstances, right? So like if I'm at a campfire or like at church around a bunch of guys, you might
Okay.
think I kind of go a little bit more introverted just because I like to let other people do the talking and necessarily like unless I'm called to be in a leadership position. Now, if I'm on a team call or in a client
Hmm.
call, I show up more like a D.
Okay.
That tends to be how I tend to show up. But now if we were at a retreat together, like a client
Hmm.
retreat, it kind of throws people off a little bit sometimes because if I'm not like training or anything like that and I'm just sitting on the table, I mean, I'm quiet, I'm more soft spoken, I'm more reserved, I'm not very animated
Okay.
because that's just
Yeah.
I'm more of a higher S than I am a D. So like if my natural go-to is kind of chill, a little more
Hmm.
laid back, a little more passive. So it just depends on the circumstance that I'm in, and who I'm talking to. But you can adapt. And by the way, you did a really good job interrupting me again before. Just again, don't be afraid. Like you can kind of jump in there, like kind of like you did. It doesn't bother me. I think it's interesting dialogue. It shows me you're paying attention. But again, it's
Hmm.
not bad to say, hey, let me interrupt you there. Let me stop you there. Hold on a second there. Like those kinds of statements. It's totally fine. And that's honestly, if you're talking to a high D, that's the only way
Yeah.
to get them to shut up, man. Sometimes you really just have to say, hold on a second. Hey, be quiet for a sec. 1 second, Alex, because that was so good. It's not going to bother them, especially if they're a high D, like your wife. If she's really like a high D, it's like it won't even. I'm telling you, Alex, they won't even recognize that you interrupted them.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It
was
won't
just
even
saying, and
sense it.
I'm realizing that, like, I can see it, like
Yeah,
interaction, and
yeah. So that's her
I
love
guess like
language.
I would interject thinking
Yeah,
I'm being a jerk or something or trying to take over the conversation, but then she just like pause and is like, what? Not what, but like,
yeah.
how are you engaging in
But
this conversation?
it,
Yeah.
yeah, but it makes her feel safe. Again, like as a high D woman, a strong woman, especially if she is a high D, which is only 10% of the population, right? Like that's, you kind of got this opposite of what society will say like is what you're supposed to be, right? Because like a lot of women, it's
Mhm.
like for women it's like, hey, you're supposed to be submissive and quiet and kind of like under certain contexts, right? They might not,
Yeah.
certain churches and places might not want a woman to be super abrasive, right? They might see that as like,
Yeah.
oh, she's like masculine, she's a whatever. Same
Hmm.
thing with men, right? If you're more quiet, you're more soft. Oh, that guy's a wuss. Oh, that guy, whatever, And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in your life in the past, people said things like that to you, or people had thought, kind of been cruel, because that's just
Hmm.
what because they didn't understand how God wired your brain, right? So you can keep just being the way that you are, and only hang out with people that are just like you, right? But if you want to have the respect and you want to
Hmm.
have friendships and you want to have business partnerships and you want to have clients with people that are on the higher
Yeah.
spectrum of the D, again, you've got to go there, my friend. You have to
Yeah.
go there. You have to show them that you have a pair. If you don't, they will
Hmm.
not respect you. They won't listen to you. They won't have confidence in you. They're going to think this guy isn't confident. Now, I train on this stuff, so I know that's not the case.
Hmm.
I'm like, no, he's just more, he's thinking, he's really listening well, he's processing everything I'm saying. He's really methodical. I know that. I know that you're not a pushover in that sense, but 99% of our society will not
Yeah.
understand that.
because
someone
they
like
don't
a
have that
Donald.
time.
Yeah,
Hmm.
someone watch The Apprentice. Have you ever watched The Apprentice with Donald Trump? It's watch,
Yeah, I've walked. Yeah,
yeah, watch the show.
absolutely.
I mean, to you, it's like for an SC, you're like, oh my God, I would never like this is horrible, you know. But again, if you look at it, who makes it to the end every time? It's the high
Mm,
D's, right? Anybody that has anybody SC-ness, they get knocked out within the first few weeks because he views them as like if you're not willing to argue with other people and raise your voice and take a stand. I mean, he keeps people on that are just flat out incompetent, but they'll just
mm.
start screaming and yelling, you know, and saying like, you know, Audrey, you're an absolute idiot. You have no idea what I've done over the last 5 years. And the real estate, I have done this and this and this and this, and you have not showed
Hmm.
up one bit on this team. And no, hold on a second. Let me tell you how it is. And they'll just, you
Yeah,
know, kind of, and he'll keep them on. And I'm like, this guy's not even that talented, but he's like, I like this guy. He's got some moxie. He's got some some chutzpah, you know,
yeah.
he likes
You could
that.
teach them something. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, okay, this guy can fend for himself. He can take charge. He can lead. He's not going to
Hmm.
respect people that are not able to do that. So again, it just is what it is, man. Like if you want to go big in business and if you want to have a lot of influence and lead people with strong
Mm.
personality types, you've got it. You have to show those guys that you can take control. And you don't have
Yeah,
to do it all the time, Alex. It's like with
I
your wife.
understand,
It's
and I'm
just
starting to, I
yeah.
guess, as doing these assessments and looking, being willing now to look inside of myself and say, okay, yeah, I am a high SC. I don't want to be a D, but I need to in order to like not be pushed around or being perceived as being able to be pushed around.
Yep.
So yeah,
Julie was all about this. Julie,
uh,
remember when you did that networking thing and you started speaking up?
yeah. So I've been hesitant to. I looked up some networking events to go to, but I was like, I don't want to.
You have to,
People
man.
bring me,
And you
and
have to
then yeah.
but that's here's what's cool is you walk into that, they don't know you as an SC, as an introverted guy, the shy guy, the
Hmm.
pushover. They view you as just another guy. So you get to
Yeah.
literally you could go in there and fool everybody, you know? Treat
Yeah.
it like an acting class. I really want you to treat it like that. Like you're literally, I'm going to audition for a lead
For
role.
zero.
I'm not kidding. I'm not like literally get into state beforehand. Like turn up your you know your get after it hip hop music, whatever it is, your Rocky music, whatever. Ah, you know, shout like you know, be intense. Like start punching the steering wheel, like box some stuff, you know, and be aggressive. And like you know, start yelling at stuff. Because the thing is, Alex, like I joke with people, is you'll do it to your pet. You'll do it to your little kid or your niece or nephew. No, get off that couch. Get it. No, you can't pee on the floor. You do
Mhm.
that with certain people and certain
Yeah.
contexts, but with men and with women, you have fear. And a lot of times it goes back to like a father wound or an authority figure wound that you have to heal. Like I said, for me, it was my
Yeah.
dad. I had to forgive my dad. I had to go do the heart freedom exercise many times with my dad. I had to work through my relationship with my dad. That was a huge part of it.
Mm.
Yeah, Julie pretended that she was her high friend that is a D. Like, do you know somebody? I mean, obviously you know me, but like, who's a friend? Do you have a friend, or maybe it's your wife? I don't know, but that like you can think of, you're like, oh my gosh, like they're really abrasive. They're definitely a high
I
D.
mean,
Somebody comes to mind.
Joe Martin. I
Oh,
think
oh
he's a
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Joe's a DI. Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah,
That's the first person that comes to mind in terms of like, yeah, mature and a D, not like the, you know,
not like a jerk D, but yeah, I get what
not
you're
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like so think about like how would Joe Martin like do this conversation and like like pay attention to his mannerisms. You know, pay
Mm.
attention. Notice how many like you know that podcast or that show that there one that I did with him. I don't know if you saw that show. I think well, you must have.
Yeah. So
I
you did
interviewed him.
both too, right?
Yeah, I did two of them. But like you can see like how in that like how many times we interrupted each other and it didn't bother either of us, right?
Yeah.
It made a good intro. Well, hold on a second, Jeremy. That's a really important point. I want to stop and say something about that real quick. And I'm like, yeah, cool, totally. Like it doesn't even phase me. I'm like, yeah,
Okay.
cool. That's great. Again, it keeps it interesting. It keeps the conversation interesting. If he just sat there and just for 5 minutes,
Yeah, I get you.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
like, is he looking at the screen? Is he like, what's going on? So,
Mm.
Yeah, man, it's really good. And I praise God for you because, again, I see you like so many of the issues that can come up in a marriage. Like, again, it comes back to fear of man, it comes back to working through some of the past junk, but also, like, a lot of the
Mhm.
healing comes just through. Have you ever read the book Atomic Habits? It's in our reading list if you ever want to read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
But
read
just
it.
the
Yeah.
whole idea of like the practices are what create the identity, right? The habits. So
Mhm.
you could work yourself into we could write 100 reasons why you're a leader and work through all these beliefs and traumas and all whatever. But you know what also works? Just
Mhm.
doing it
Yeah,
scared.
taking the action.
Yeah, just taking action and do it over and over. And that's why I'm wanting you to practice on me and interrupt me and take charge of the conversation and take over again and take control.
Mhm.
Because when you do that, eventually it just becomes like that's what happened to me. I didn't have like a big breakthrough mentally. I mean, I had some breakthroughs like with my dad and Heart Freedom, but honestly, like a huge part of the breakthrough was Mark letting me practice on him, doing that
Mhm.
once, and then I would go do it on I'd do it to clients or other people in my life, and I would just practice. And then the more I did it, I was like, this actually works, and it's
Yeah.
and I found myself carrying a level of authority and not being a pushover and not having a fear of man like I used to, because you
Yeah.
study personality profiles, you're like, oh, I know they can handle this because I know they're a higher D, they're a higher economic, they're more blunt, they don't mind being interrupted. Now again, if I'm talking to a high SC, I'm very sensitive to that. I'm very, very sensitive to that. If I'm going to
Mhm.
interrupt them or if I'm going to take over, I'm doing it very gently. I'm going to be very apologetic about it. I'm going to be very
Yeah.
soft about it. And I'm going to be very careful not to step on their toes too hard. Right. Now, if
Yeah.
we have a lot of rapport, if we have a lot of rapport and they're like clients and they know that maybe they don't, there's a different kind of relationship and you built that loyalty, they can handle it. But even
Yeah.
then, you're stepping, you're walking in a minefield. You got to
Yeah.
be
To
careful.
be like the social awareness and aware of
Yeah.
yourself and others. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Definitely.
like Paul said, I become all things to all men that I might win some. That's all it's about. Again, it's just about loving people and meeting them where they're at, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah. At the beginning, or when you started telling me to interrupt you, I started sweating,
I know.
very nervous.
Listen, I know, man, and
And
it's
now
so
I
funny.
feel a little bit more like
Good.
I'm not
Good.
sweating anymore, but I just feel like
That's
yeah,
great.
like, I'm not gonna. What's gonna happen if I
Nothing.
interrupt? Yeah, exactly.
Ask you could get a refund, whatever. I'm just, this guy flips out on me. But no, that's what I'm saying, Alex. Like I laugh about it, but I'm telling you, like you would never know. And even for me now, I can't even identify with that guy anymore because that old me, because it's been
Mhm.
so long. But I'm telling you, when I tell you I was literally the same when it comes to that level of fear and trepidation, I was
Yeah,
right there. 100%. 100%. Now again, I don't know what's your values. Is your economic kind of high or above normal or not average, or do you know what that was?
values. Um, so um, I'm tied with economics and individual
What score is your economic?
71.
Okay, so it's pretty high. So here's your advantage, right? So your economic is high. So again, Alex, the cool thing, and this is what was so empowering to me, was again, you think like a D, like
Mm,
what a lot of D's are, like stereotypical, right? Right, which is like you want to win, you're competitive, you're bottom line oriented, right? You
yeah,
like to win.
I see
So,
it.
right, so you think, hey, dude, you're rambling. Please shut up. You're driving me crazy, right? You think I'm going to kick your butt. You're going down. You think, whatever. That's what you think.
Yeah, got you.
But in the past, you internalize it. You're like the guy. It's like you're like that silent assassin in Monopoly. It's like no one. It's like you're playing and you're just kind of like grinning because you're like, oh, I'm going to destroy these people. But nobody would know that you want to win that bad, right?
Yeah,
Um,
that's
Yeah.
observed.
So yeah. So and the whole time you're like, you're shaking your head, but you're just like, oh my gosh, will you please just stop talking and get to the point, right? So
Mhm.
now if you're a low economic and a low D, high SC, that's really hard, right? Because you don't even have the slightest urge or inclination to interrupt them, like to even think about interrupting them or like whatever, or like just please shut up. You're wasting my time. You're wasting my money. I want a
Mhm.
refund. I don't, whatever,
Yeah.
I want the discount. This isn't good enough. Like you're thinking that. So the breakthrough, brother, is that just you already have that part of you. It's in your personality and values. Just let it come out of your mouth. That's all we're
Yeah.
doing. We're just talking about go from here to here. Let
Mhm.
let the thought you have. If you're thinking he's kind of rambling and I'd like him to get to the point, like you're gonna hear a lot of D's say it. I say this to my team probably every few days. I'm on a conversation. I'm like, what's the bottom line, Alex? Hey, hold on. Just what's
Mhm.
the bottom line? Just hold on. Just that's great, but what's the bottom line? Like, what's the
Yeah.
bottom line? And that's D's will say that all the time because like I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to hear. I don't care about the whole backstory. Like Rachel might, like she's like telling me about, oh, we had this problem with GHL, and then I found I did some testing, and I realized that there was, and I'm just like, okay, so what's the bottom line? The bottom line
Mhm.
is there was a coding error, and I fixed it. Okay, sweet, great. What's the next thing? Like I
That's yeah.
just do that, right? Because I don't want to waste my time. I'm, but I used to. I'm telling you, man, that has not been me most of my life.
Yeah.
I was
I
not
can see
confident.
how
Yeah.
it applies and like where I'm going to use it next. I guess like in safe places, but where I how I'm going to, I guess,
Yeah. It's
start
great. Like
breaking from there too.
if you're at church, just in the greet time, find the person who's the loudest person in the room and go introduce yourself and literally just copy. No, I'm dead serious. And just
Yeah.
copy their body language, So like Alex, I'm talking like this, and I'm like, Alex, you're gonna love this movie. Oh my gosh. I was watching The House of David. Have you seen The House of David? So let's just role play real quick. So like I'm gonna have a
Mhm.
conversation with you. I'm waiting to get in state. Pump yourself up a little bit, right? We're gonna do this a little bit. So like we're just gonna go back and forth. So, like I'm gonna say a sentence and then you're gonna say a sentence, and I want you to get like as hyped and as animated as you can. And there's literally like 5 people here. So it's like in a note taker, right? So it's just us. So let's just practice, right? Alex, have you seen The House of David yet? Man, my family just started watching it. It's crazy.
Oh my goodness. I love the House of David. What episode are you on?
I'm on episode 2. We just started, but I want you to be even louder and even more animated. Use your body language. Talk a little bit faster. I know it's going to be hard, but you can do it. Yeah, man, I'm on episode 2. Have you seen it yet?
I started watching it. I just love how it
What did you love about it? It's crazy, isn't it?
I love Saul and it's weird that I love Saul. Like I love how they're portraying each character and how they're just like they're
I
bringing the
know, but
Bible
don't
to
doesn't
life.
it? I know, but doesn't it bug you the fact that they go so far off the biblical storyline? I mean, it's kind of annoying, isn't it to you? I mean, I feel it's kind of
Not really.
annoying.
I'm not that much into. I mean, it's entertainment. So I
I know
know
it's
the Bible for
entertainment, but like,
myself.
I know, but like, do you feel like they had to make up this whole thing about like David's mom being like killed by a lion and like, and like all
It's a
this
good
stuff?
story. I don't mind it. It's okay. I look
And
past it 'cause I know the
I
Bible for
know,
myself.
but I'm like, golly, I'm like, okay, I mean, okay, but whatever.
What's
Like,
your favorite part about it?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, like I don't know. I think they did a pretty good job making it come alive a little bit. But the dude, that CGI at lion, have you seen that lion?
I
It
was
was
just gonna ask you about that.
yeah.
Like, that was
It
over the
drove me
top. I
great.
think
That
that was
drove me
over the top.
nuts. I'm like, because the first episode it was so cheesy, but then the second one they used a real lion. I'm like, why couldn't you guys have
Yeah.
just used a real lion from the very beginning? Like, because now it
And
just looks
budget
super
cuts.
hokey. Yeah, budget. Dude, you killed it. Just then, you would have been my best friend, right? You would have been my best friend. You would have won me over. Now, as you get deeper into the relationship, you could
Yeah,
start to pull me toward your direction. And the more we're
gotcha.
talking, you could slow down a little bit and you could get a little bit calmer, and I'll probably start to follow you. But if we're going to be friends and you want to make friends with me, people like people that are like themselves, right?
Yeah.
Or like people they want to be like, right? It's typically those two things, right? So
Hmm.
the way that you just did that, you interrupted me, you asked me a question, you cut me off, you asked me, well, what did you think? Like you got into state and you just totally owned it. I'm telling you, you would have fooled me. Like if I had done a personality test after that, I would have been like, oh, this guy's an I, probably at least a moderate D. You would have got me, right? And we
Hmm.
would have been best friends, right? And sometimes, Alex, my hypothesis is that sometimes in marriage and these relationships, you might have showed up a little bit more like that at the beginning of the relationship.
Hmm.
You might have had a little bit more swagger. You might have had a little more confidence. Maybe maybe you were killing the game in certain areas, and maybe you did have a little more moxie, a little bit that, and that might have been what was attractive to her. But then something happened, or some things happened, and maybe you started to, to kind of go
Hmm.
super hardcore into your personality, your natural personality, and then that's where it's like, oh wait, who is this? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
guy's kind of a
Gotcha.
wuss. Yeah. So,
Hmm.
anyways, dude, yeah, you killed it. So you can be that. So don't ever let anybody say you can't be a leader, right? You can't take control. You're a pusher, whatever. You can be whatever you want to be in a moment, and you can take absolute authority and control. My wife is a high SC, low D. She has healed. She has healed the wounds in the past, feeling like she was stupid, like she's not enough. She has practiced. She can
Hmm.
handle any high D any day of the week
Yeah.
because
That's awesome.
she just knows how to speak their language. Like my brother-in-law is a high D,
Hmm.
um, super high D, high I, low C personality type. We were at a family thing, a vacation a couple years ago, and he was like, they were having some issues in their marriage. And I just like started, I just yelled at him. I was like, get out the side. I was like, you need to go work on that, whatever. And he was yelling at me. And I was like, no. And and my wife just screamed at him, like out of nowhere, and she's like, son, time out. Hold on a second. That is not right. You can't talk to her like that. You need to stop. Well, I don't remember what she said, but she was like,
Yeah.
whoa, snap, and he listened, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
he was like a wounded puppy walking out of the room, going to his car, but he got up and he left the room and he did his thing, and he has a level of respect for my wife now. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, he does. He has a level of respect for her that he would not have if she had not shown that she could handle them. So again, it doesn't mean, Alex, you have to be like this all the time. But just showing your wife, I've got a pit bull inside of me. I've got a lion inside of me, and don't, I will let him out of the cage. You know,
Yeah.
it
I
doesn't
got
have
you.
to be it doesn't have to be an authoritarian, totalitarian dictator way. That's not the point. But just it's the
Yeah.
point of like just help her feel like you can lead, you can handle
Yeah.
this, you can,
I
yeah,
remember her. I remember her mentioning like I was with her family, and she's like, "Yeah, I liked how we were playing dominoes, and I was killing them." And so I was just at the table, you're talking trash. She was like, "Yeah, like you just at the dominoes too." So I was just mirroring
yeah,
what was going on at the table. Like I know how to
yeah,
hang
yeah,
out, and it's like not. So you're not gonna talk trash about me, and I'm winning. First of all,
yeah, yeah.
so yeah,
So
so
again, but that's the
it
economic
didn't
part.
connect. Yeah, it didn't connect to like outside of like
But
everything
that's
else.
the economic part of your brain. You let yourself say what you were thinking. You're like, man, I'm killing you guys right now. You're going down. There's no way you're going to win this. To her, she's
Mm,
like, oh, baby, that's kind of
yeah,
sexy right there. Right. Now, again, to you, you're like, who cares? Like, that's weird. But to her, that's attractive. So, yeah, just know that it might be a little bit weird at first because it's kind of like, whoa, like now, might throw up a
yeah.
little bit. So you got to be consistent with it, but do it in a loving way, a gentle, Christ-like way. But again, just
I
shake it off.
appreciate
Man.
it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Thank
So
you.
happy to help. This will be a turning point for you because you'll take this, you'll run with it. I know you will because you're super
Oh,
coachable and teachable, and you'll start doing it. Yeah.
yeah, like a light bulb just went off. So, um, yeah, I'm doing it. Thanks.
Yeah, man, I know you will. I know you will. That's the good thing about people like you and Julie. Like when you guys commit to something, like I know you're gonna do it, even if you're scared, because you're super loyal and you want to do what you say you're gonna do.
No,
And
that too.
if you were a
Yeah.
high DI, I'm like, if I said it as like it's a 50-50 chance if you're gonna actually do it or not, because you'll probably forget or you might just whatever, I don't care. But if you're more of a rule follower, if I'm like, hey Julie, like I told we had that thing and I was like, are you gonna do this? And I think you didn't you buy like even like a different outfit or something that was a little more colorful, Julie? Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. So even like for you, Alex, like I know this sounds goofy, man, but like I've got this pair of pants. I could show it to you. But it's like there's these short shorts my sister got me for Christmas, and it's got like a
mm,
lion on the front. Right. So like it's a little,
okay.
it's like you'd think it would be on the back, but no, it's on the front, right? And it's like, but Steve Weatherford, you can look him up. He's the event that I went to this month or last weekend, and he's running around. This guy's just massive, former NFL guy, one of the most fit men in the country, kind of a thing. And he wears these like ridiculous, short workout shorts and whatever. And it's just like stuff like that, like wearing these like short bathing, so not like inappropriate, like I'm not talking about like my
I get you. I get
stuff
you.
showing,
Yeah.
but like stuff that you would only wear if you didn't have a fear of man, right? So stuff that's like just so uncharacteristically like it's out like it does like I would just encourage you like start doing things that are the exact opposite of what you would do. You're like, would I typically wear this kind of a shirt or these kind of clothes or this whatever?
For me,
No,
it
it's
was a yellow shirt compared to black. I didn't go
yeah.
totally,
Yeah.
but usually
Yeah.
I wear black.
Yeah. But just stuff that again, like in your mannerisms, even your clothes, whatever, stuff that's just uncomfortable for you that maybe even draws attention to you. Because if you're a low I, you don't want attention. You don't want to
Hmm.
be called on, but like, but step up and fool everybody in the room. That's my challenge to you is like, what's something you could do in the next week where you could practice fooling everybody in the room with what your natural personality type is?
I'm gonna look up a networking event. I'm gonna
Okay,
go to
cool.
a networking event. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So next week you'll report back, right?
Yes, I'll definitely go.
Yeah. Post in the group too. Yeah. But just have fun with it, man. Have fun with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm ready. And you
Yeah.
said email the thing to you said help
Help
desk?
desk. Help desk. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're
And
fine.
thank you all for your patience and
You're
allowing me to
good.
go through
It's
everybody
not
in the
just for
room.
you, it's for everybody, man. It's just stuff that I know this isn't like what does this have to do with money? Everything, right? It has everything to do with money because money is about people for the most part, right? Now, again, if you're doing trading online, not really, right? It's like there's certain things
Mhm.
where you don't necessarily need to be good with people to make money, but if you really want to make money, you have to be good with people and you have to be able to read people and speak their language and know how to persuade people and inspire people and connect with people. So to me, I think it's just the ultimate superpower and edge in business. It really is. Really makes a huge difference. So
Awesome.
I would never lead a church. I would never lead an organization if I did not teach this stuff to everybody and if I did not have everyone taking these assessments because I think it's super critical for people understanding each other and not judging each other and being kind to each other.